I grew up in Northeast Iowa, so in a little town of New Hampton, and both my parents were school teachers when I was growing up. My dad's family grew up farming down in Southwest Iowa, where my grandparents still had the family farm until I was in high school, and all of our childhood. I was the oldest of four, and we spent every waking minute that we could outside. Everything from sports to what became ultimately our passion was deer hunting, and specifically bow hunting in the hardwoods in Northeast Iowa. So when I was, as young as I can remember, my dad had all four of us out in the woods. We'd pheasant hunt every weekend growing up, and then eventually transitioned into, like I said, bow hunting, and became extremely passionate about land and the opportunities that that offered. And as we got a little older, what we started to realize, especially in the recreational space or in the hunting side of things, is that we truly wanted our own place to go. And that just became harder and harder to find. With more people getting into hunting and more people spending time outside, we just realized the value of actually owning our own land and having our own place to take our family and spend our time. So that's what really drove me into land ownership, was almost a sense of scarcity of, if I didn't take the chance now, when would I ever have the chance to own land? And so that's kind of what pulled us in the direction of wanting to own our own farm. So when I bought my first farm, I was really introduced into land ownership by two really good friends. I obviously didn't know much about land. I'd just gotten out of college and was newly married, and I knew that my wife and I wanted to own land, but at the time there was no way that we could do it on our own. So I had two really, really good friends. One of them that I owe a lot to for teaching me how to finance land, how to purchase land, and where to buy land. And so I was actually bow hunting in Northeast Iowa in Fayette County, and I got a text from Justin. And Justin said, "We found a farm." It was down on the Clark-Decatur County line. So from where I sat, about 6 hours away, he sent me the numbers on what he thought we could buy it for and why he thought it was a good idea. And right then and there, I said, I'm in. Obviously, my wife is involved every step of the way, as much as she could be in a text message. And we pulled the trigger on that first farm in southern Iowa. The very first farm that we bought was a combination farm. So it was right in the heart of some of the best deer hunting in southern Iowa, but it was a mix. And so that was the huge draw for us, is that it had multiple sources of income. It had tillable land, it had pasture rent, and then obviously it had the benefit of the recreational values that we were after. When we purchased our first farm, I was absolutely scared to death. And quite frankly, every single farm that I've purchased since then, I've been scared to death. And looking back, we knew, and I would say all three of us partners knew, that that was not a forever purchase by any means. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't everything we wanted, but we knew when we had the opportunity to buy something, we were going to pull the trigger. And that was what made the difference really for the next 15 years of our lives, is pulling the trigger on that very first farm. Through that process, we were able to develop some more tillable land on the farm and add to its value, and all of that added value, and just naturally, by default, the appreciation in that farm in those early 2000s was significant. So we had just bought in a time period where, in all honesty, you could have bought anything and the value would not. It fit 50%, if not 70% of our goals of that given time, but we knew it wasn't perfect, and we were okay with that because we knew it was a stepping stone. Whether it's buying a home, a farm, or making any sort of investment, we all want to find the perfect investment and hold it for the rest of our lives. The odds of that happening are so slim. The odds of somebody buying their first home and staying in that home for their entire life is so slim. There's two strategies. You either have to save the money up to buy the perfect farm when it comes available, and that opportunity likely is only going to come once, or you have to buy the farm that fits your budget, fits the situation and be willing to let that farm go to move on to the next one. Eventually sold that farm, and we split up that LLC that we had as a partnership, or as 3 partners, so that we could all buy our own individual farms. And from there, I rolled that southern Iowa farm up into northeast Iowa. I'm actually in Allamakee County, as my wife and I moved back to where she grew up and where we wanted to raise a family, and have continued to buy and sell farms in northeast Iowa personally. So my long-term goal as a landowner, I'm truly a long-term holder of land. So I sell land every single day. And I sell land for people that have achieved their goals and are ready to move on to the next step, whether that's to buy a different farm or to finally exit from their land portfolio. For me personally, we're still in the building phase. Our personal goal would be, develop our land and potentially grow that portfolio as it fits, and hopefully to pass that on to our children and let them make the decision on what that exit plan looks like. It truly is our long-term holding. It's our investment in our future. It's our 401k and our investment portfolio. I can truly say that I have all my eggs in one basket, and that is real estate. That's what I believe in. That's what I work in every single day. And that's what I've seen the most success found in, dealing with thousands of people every year.